A model's lawsuit against Diddy claiming that he assaulted her and ruined her marriage could be dismissed. Hey, what's up? It's Cecily, and it's the Cecily Daily, your daily dose of news, pop culture, and trending topics you cannot ignore. Well, we have been ignoring some things this past week due to the election, but guess what? We are back and we are ready to take on yet another Diddy update. There's a few from last week that are lingering. I'm pretty sure most of y'all have not seen them because you've been inundated with all the election stuff like I have. But hey, nothing better than to get into someone else's mess to get out of yours. I'm sorry. anyway, anyway, we're gonna deal with the first. The first of the updates is like the lawsuit. Crystal McKinney is definitely being contested right now. Right here, you can see to my left that the Erica Wolf, this is one of the attorneys for Diddy, and is writing to pretty much try to attempt to have it dismissed. So essentially, they are attempting to have the lawsuit dismissed that accuses him of assaulting her in 2003, saying that the case is both outdated and legally insufficient. Right? So to refresh your memory, Crystal McKinney is suing Combs, claiming that he assaulted her after a New York Fashion Week event over 20 years ago, damaging her not only her career but her marriage. However, Diddy's lawyers are trying to get the case thrown out. They say that the lawsuit is too old and it doesn't have enough legal backing. They argue that the time limit for this filing has passed, right? So she filed the lawsuit earlier this year, but hoping that the new law in New York City would hold true for her. This rule part of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law. VG gives people 2 years to file lawsuits for old cases they were previously too late to pursue. And there's another, I think, John Doe, I think that's filed using the same law, but Diddy's lawyers argue that a different law, the New York State Adult Survivors Act, which is also the same law that Cassie and another Jane Doe were able to file under, overrules McKinney's law. And that law, the Adult Survivors Act ASA, overrules the city law and it didn't allow for a time limitation or otherwise for old SA claims that goes into 2023. So they will be basically duking it out to see which law pertains to her, pretty much. His attorney says that the state law is more important than the city law. It became too old to pursue in 2010 based on that. And that the ASA does not allow for expired claims to be brought to court today. So they will be discussing whether it's too late to be considered. They'll definitely look at both sides of the argument very soon. In the event that Ms. McKinney's lawsuit is thrown out, she will not be able to sue again for the same reasons. So it's pretty intense for her and any other victims who may have thought that they might be able to slide in under that city law, especially it having to affect not only your career, but your marriage, girl. Like, initially, when I read the complaint, I don't recall it saying anything about the marriage, but I can see how something like that could affect your family life. And this is why the victims don't come forward, guys. It's because people are people hear the information and they're going to react in different ways. It takes a very mature person to know that something happened to you and that they could not be there to protect you, to assume that everything that you're saying is true, you know, and to write it out with you. Sometimes just being support is just hard. It's harder than one might realize. We often see things happen to families tragedies that happen to families without any fault. And people are not able to stay together because of the weight that that carries. So, not assuming that any of this applies to Miss McKinney, but we really haven't heard much from her and what's going on with that case. I'm glad that she is at least having her, I'll say, just due, meaning that I feel like the older cases don't have the same publicity that the newer cases have. In actuality, like the more heinous these cases are, the less you're thinking about what we talked about a week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And it's very, very easy for people to say, girl, I have a 20 years ago, like, get over it. Like, that's literally like what some of the other things I hear people say. So, one great thing that comes out of this, once they argue whether the case should be considered or not, then we know justice will be served or not. You will have your day in court. So, this is, I think, pertinent and on time because these cases are going to go on for years. These things are going to go on for a long time. He doesn't have enough money to settle every single one of them. And, I just think that the bright side for every court case is that there's a potential ruling that can help someone else. If you look in these compliance, you'll see them reference other cases, other cases. That's because when we're creating laws, they're built like, they're like bricks. So some really great things could come out of justice being served, justice being, meaning that if Crystal McKinney wins, quote unquote, then there could be possibly some revisions to the law and more of a pathway for people who missed out on suing people because the time limit ran out. This could be something that they can cite in the past. So that's what's going on with that case. Let's move on to the next item. So Diddy files for his fourth bail request, and it's a lengthy request. They get longer and longer, I feel. And so I just wanted to share just a list of things that he was offering because I think that folks keep hearing that 50 mil, 50 mil, but let's go over what he's offering in exchange for his freedom. He is offering a $50 million bond co-signed by his mom, sister. I didn't know he had a sister. What? Oldest daughter, mother of his youngest daughter, 3 adult sons. Then we've got the home in Miami that's appraised at 48 mil. Then we have the mom's home in Miami. Then we've got GPS monitoring all around. For counsel will travel to him or they will meet via video. His travel will be restricted to New York or Florida. He must pay for everything. There'll be 24/7 monitoring by the government, and pretrial services is the entity that he would have to do all this with. He wouldn't have any access to telephones or internet except for interactions with counsel or security personnel. Then we've got a pre-approved list of specific family members and those from the pretrial services and government. You've got a security personnel will monitor the visits and that he will avoid contact directly or indirectly with anyone associated with the case, meaning victims or witnesses. He will also consent to random searches to pretrial services or with pretrial services. Then he's already surrendered his passport. Members of his family have already surrendered their passports and they are still trying to sell his plane. And then there's also some random drug testing that he will submit to. And he will participate in some kind of program or counseling. They don't state what kind of counseling, but. And then there looks to be something. Oh, and then this is the last line, which I found to be kind of funny. It's if your honor wants something more different, we can do whatever your honor thinks is necessary. Like, where's the legalese for this? Like, there's no legalese. And if you want to put something on top, then put it on top. So yeah, that right there has not been decided just yet. We will probably hear something this week. It's the fourth attempt, and it's probably likely that it will be. I think it is. So the gag order. So we heard earlier this week, Courtney Burgess. Listen, I don't know if it's Burgess or Burgess. I'm gonna say Burgess because I like it, but I made a few videos about Courtney Burgess, and Courtney needs to stop talking. Courtney went toe to toe with Jaguar earlier this week. He's been all over, a smattering everywhere, all over the podcast circuit, making everybody rich. And I'm just like, Courtney, for the love, with all the love in my heart, speaking is not the strong suit. Okay. So I found so many things wrong with things he said. So many, like, this isn't match, this isn't match, that, which comes off as a person who's lying. I don't think he's lying, personally. I don't. I just think he's not a good communicator. And he's the type of person that you got to really kind of like, so really, it's like, okay, wait, you said this. No, this. Okay, so it's not this. It's, you got to work with that. But it's coming off like crazy. It's coming off wild. Anyway, let me read what I wrote for this part. So Courtney is a witness in the trial. He's been asked to testify again to the grand jury in New York, according to his lawyer. He did receive, as he stated, 11 flash drives. I keep calling them tapes. There's like a, it's like an old school kind of like a, crime investigation energy or whatever. So do you have the tapes anyway of their flash drives? It says that 8 of them involve celebrities. The lawyers did ask for a gag order specifically for him because he was running his mouth. He was on the steps of the courthouse, like, and I'm about to go to another courthouse. It's just like, I don't believe they called TMZ. Whoever said that, I'm just like, you don't know how this works. Of course they see him going in there. They hang around these places. Of course they do. It's Manhattan, bro. Like, anyway, to whoever said that they were calling, I don't believe that's the case at all. They literally were walking down and those were waiting for them. But he's got information. People are going to want to talk to him. As you can see, everyone and their mom that has a podcast is talking to Courtney. Anyway, Diddy's lawyers are like, we need for him to stop. And I think that that's confirmation that there's something there. We also found out that Courtney was the originator behind the Kim Porter unverified memoir. It's just so much tea with this individual. Please check out my video where I break it down. I also broke down an argument he had with Jaguar. This is before the election. My brain is wiped of everything. I don't have it. But if you're curious about all of that, those videos are linked. But they did say that the things that he was saying could hurt the chances of a fair trial. I think that the gag order will keep him quiet, and that they're saying that there's a difference between what he's claiming to see and experience on those flash drives in real life. So I personally think that Combs doesn't want this information out and that he may potentially have something of weight, which is wild, but true. Moving on to the gag order. It has been denied. And you know what? Before I go here, I wanted to share Victor's letter. So Victor is Cassie's attorney. And I know a lot of folks have been talking about like Cassie's attorney going off and Cassie's attorney. I'm excited. And it's like there's no evidence of this. Like it's just there's an article, I believe, with All Hip Hop has something that I think they did speak to the attorney, which I will link below so that you can have access to that. Like, why not? But I was like, I would love to know what that letter stated, because her attorney referenced a letter being sent to the judge. Turns out one of the Jane Does is also being represented by Cassie's attorney as well. So Cassie is victim number one in all these cases. And so this other person is a Jane Doe. So that would be their second client. So it would be in their best interest to make sure that they could be able to speak, right? And not be gagged. And the letter is 4 pages. Try and grab it. Okay. It's not too crazy. I can read it. I can kind of summarize it for you guys because I've already read it. But the first response really was that for legal and moral reasons, silencing victims of sexual assault is inappropriate. And they also noticed, or they cited some data from this organization called the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, stating that basically 1 in 2 out of 3 assaults go unreported. And by making this a practice that they would be, in fact, silencing people that could come forward, and really just further injuring those who were victims of sexual assault. So, like, as it stands, do we want to silence victims of SRA? Do we want to tell those that have been abused that they can't speak? Absolutely not. So, like, that is not cool. They also stated that and look at my face when I say this. It also stated several instances where the family has spoken out. The family has spoken out. Quincy has spoken out. Christian has spoken out. The mother has spoken out. Not only has she spoken out, she said, if anything happens to my son, this right here will be the result: public lynching. This is what she said. Yeah, she called it a lynching and a narrative created out of lies, saying that he wasn't guilty and that it would be a wrongful conviction. That's what it was. So, she's already trying to poison those that may think that her son is, possibly guilty. And she's like, if something bad happens to him, then it was wrong. Like, she's really doing a Trump right now. So that right there made a lot of sense to me. Like, yeah, why would you want people to be quiet when you yourself have been speaking against this before you were even locked up? Your family has maintained your innocence. Not only that, they have they have responded to the filing of cases. You have spoke on everything and said that he is innocent. So y'all could be quiet too. You guys could be literally like quiet and waiting for justice to play out, but you're not. This is the most interesting one for me, is that it violates actually not the most interesting, but it's almost violating the rules of professional conduct. It's basically saying that it would impede attorneys, from doing their jobs the way that they do their jobs. But the one that I thought was the most interesting was the second part of this, where they were saying that, that attorneys, this is how attorneys get more work. So, like, noting that you're doing this work, having your press conferences, listing this on your website is a way for them to advertise. And if you guys didn't know, the Wigder law firm is also representing the Jane Roe that is suing Garth Brooks, and representing the Jane Doe that is suing Metro Booming. Hey Google, is the producer named Metro Booming? They required these cases in the past several months, and so they are, obviously the word is getting out. This is a person that gets results. So if I can't talk about what I do and how I do it, if I can't show you I'm hot right now. I mean, you got to get on me. You got me because I'm hot. This is how every attorney works. So I just thought that that was really clever. They talking, you talking. Telling the victims be quiet is morally wrong. And lastly, I'm hot right now. Like I got to get work. And I mean, who's not saying no to that? So everything that's out there is out there, which pretty much brings us to the last little Diddy. I'm sorry. It's late. The gag order. It was denied. The gag order is denied, and it's 16 pages long, and we're just not gonna do that. But this is from the judge. This is from the judge's desk, and the judge basically breaks down. I will toggle through them so that you can definitely pause this. This is why I share the reasons why this reasons why we ain't gonna let you go on out there. If you don't sit yourself down and chill yourself out. And I will read the last paragraph because I feel like the last paragraph is always like, and furthermore, you get there to you. Write your right on. Right through. Risk of flight is still, listen, risk of flight is still possible. Let's not act like this man sitting in a $50 million home, giving him $50 million bond, can't slide himself down across the border. Yeah. Except for the defendant poses an ongoing significant danger to the community, has repeatedly engaged in obstructive conduct, and presents a serious risk of flight. The government respectfully submits the defendant to not meet his burden of overcoming the statutory presumption in favor of detention. There are no conditions of bail that would ensure the appearance and compliance of the defendant or safety of others. Accordingly, the application for bail shall be denied. So yeah, that all happened. Most of that happened on Friday. Yeah, most of that happened on Friday. I think McKinney's. Well, the letter from Cassie's attorney to the judge was on October 30th. So it's just kind of it's circulating, if you will, this past week. But I think it was disgraced by the election. But everything else, I think, pretty much happened on Friday, which is intense. Like, what will Monday bring? Oh, Monday is a holiday, so I guess we'll wait until Tuesday. Although these folks have been filing things on Sunday, I'm still trying to understand that. But the Diddy update is pretty intense, right? What are your thoughts on what's going on? What do you think? What do you think? Just, this is a lot of money. Like, I was thinking about that. This is a lot of money. Like, he's got a whole team of people that are fighting multiple cases, and they're filing stuff like damn near every day. There are so many filings. A lot of times I just don't share them with y'all because I'm just like, it's so excessive. And it's a lot of the same thing. Like, you see the bill thing over and over, the gag order complaints were over and over. There's a lot of repetitive kind of filings. And I wonder if this is like to exhaust the court. Like, can you just open a door? Like, oh, we got this. Like, get your monies and all this stuff and leave us alone. And then, like, here comes Courtney, and everybody's like, oh. Everybody got to just hush up. You know what I'm saying? Because Courtney added a layer, child. Yes, I've tagged my videos, and I'm just like, Courtney has a lot of explaining to do. Like, the something in the milk ain't clean, and we need that to be cleared up. We do. In the meantime, everybody needs a publicist, so stop with this whole like, I got this just because I have a handheld phone and internet that I got. Y'all, all of y'all need publicists. His attorney, he does. It's just an SHIT show. It is, absolutely. At any rate, I've got some new videos coming, some fun stuff. Black, Beauty in the Black, I think it was by Tyler Perry. I reviewed the whole first part. So yeah, I'm gonna edit that and put that up. Then we've got Eat, Slay, Love on Peacock TV, starring Tammy Rivera, Eva Marcel, London Hughes, and Nivea. They're going on a girls' trip to Nivea. It is produced by Will Packer from the original girls' trip with Jada Pinkett, Queen Latifah, and Tiffany Haddish. It's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. My first recap review is extremely intense, and I promise the others will not be like that because I was so bothered. And another motherfucker, it was a lot. So anyway, look for those. Look for those. We will be back in full effect this week of a new system. We got better equipment, and my lives will be popping. So lives will be popping. Remember that noir is what I'm wearing today because I don't have no blue bracelet to let anybody know that I'm on either side. She shows up like this, we can't wash it off. I'm not sure what happened with the election, but I am not going to let it get me down, and neither should you. Mind your business and protect your energy. With that being said, guys, appreciate you all for coming. That's a wrap on Cecily Daily. Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit the likes because this pushes us out and allows other people to find me. Peace out. Bye bye.